The Zion 15 is IWI's first entry into the AR-15 market, and even more than that, it is their entry into US manufacturing. When you boil it down, this is an exciting moment for IWI and the AR-15 industry. I am very excited to be talking to you guys today about IWI's Zion 15. Let's get into it. The Zion 15 is what I would argue is pretty much the definition of a perfect entry-level AR-15. But the cool part about this rifle is it also has features found on even higher-end rifles, so you're getting a lot of bang for your buck out of what is normally considered an entry-level AR-15. And I know a lot of you right now are rolling your eyes and saying, oh, like we need another entry-level AR-15 for the market that is already flooded with a plethora of options and different manufacturers to choose from. And I can understand that sentiment, and I understand where that argument is coming from, but I really believe that it is worth looking at the Zion 15, diving into the specs and learning about this rifle, because IWI really put a lot of time into figuring out what needs to be included in an entry-level AR-15 while still having the high-end quality that you would find from bigger brands like BCM, Aero Precision, or Daniel Defense. Let's dive into these specs. The Z15 starts off with a 16-inch 1-in-8 twist barrel that has a black nitride finish. The gas system is a mid-length gas system and it is direct impingement. The rail covering the barrel is a 15-inch M-LOK rail, which is epic. That is such a good choice in my opinion for this rifle. Upper and lower receiver are for the most part a standard receiver set, has forward assist and all of the normal functions that you would find from a mil-spec carbine. It does ship with a mil-spec trigger from factory, and the rifle features B5 furniture for the grip and the stock. This rifle in free states does also ship with one 30-round PMag, and IWI was kind enough to also send an M-LOK QD attachment for slings. This rifle comes in right around 6.5 pounds without any ammo or magazine or optics, so it's definitely not a heavy rifle. There are lighter ones in the market, but the weight puts it in a class of a lightweight fighting carbine. The bolt carrier group is a full weight, full auto black nitride bolt carrier group. The chamber is 5.56 NATO. The MSRP of this rifle comes in at $899.99, which puts it right in the competition of an entry-level AR-15, like the M&P Sports or the Ruger 5.56s, or even stuff from Palmetto State Armory and Anderson Manufacturing. This rifle and the features that it offers are very competitively priced when you start looking around the entry-level AR-15 market. So by this point, you already know that I'm super excited about this rifle. There was some hate that was thrown toward IWI at the very beginning when they released this rifle for reasons that I mentioned at the beginning of the video. People just did not see why IWI would need to jump into the AR-15 market when it is already so flooded. That's kind of small thinking, and let me lay this out for you. IWI wants to get into US manufacturing. And this rifle is made not far away from me in Middletown, Pennsylvania. They're actually manufacturing this in their facility. So that opens up a ton of new benefits for IWI, and their capabilities are expanding in their lineup. So I would definitely say that you should be excited about this rifle, because that means in the near future, IWI may be offering some pretty cool stuff that's made right here on US soil. That's one of the main reasons why I'm super excited about this rifle. The other reason is, finally, an entry-level AR-15 has quite literally all of the features that I was looking for in a rifle for an entry-level AR-15. It comes with the full-length rail. It comes with good furniture. It comes with the 1 8 twist barrel, which to me is probably, arguably, the best twist rate for a do-all barrel. And I can tell you that this rifle is extremely accurate after putting it on paper. We'll dive into that later. But at the time of making this video, this rifle is $899.99, and for that price, you are getting so much value in a package that really should be sold for a lot more, in my opinion. And because of that, I'm super excited about this rifle. And also, guys, it's IWI. They make awesome stuff, and now finally they have an AR-15 on the market. For all of those reasons, I'm super pumped about this rifle, and I was excited to get the opportunity to give you guys my input on it. That's enough talking about the random stuff and diving into the details. Now let's talk about what my first impression was of this rifle on the range. By now you guys have watched a ton of my shooting videos, and you know that I shoot a lot of steel targets. If you've read my description in the bottom on almost every video, you know I'm one of the owners of TA Targets, and we manufacture really awesome AR550 target systems like this Vital Zone target that's behind me. And we really truly believe that they're an asset to everybody on the range. Not only are they fun, but they're gonna help you with your training and moving your skill set forward faster because of that immediate feedback. Guys, we've got a ton of different target systems, and what I wanted to do is help you out by giving you a discount code that's specific to this channel. So if you want to save 10% on anything online, whether that's complete steel target systems or even cardboard targets like you see over here on my right, use the code KeystoneCarry at checkout. You will save 10%. Again, that's at tatargets.com. Hop on over there to our website, check it out. My first range day with the Z15 was really not that exciting. It was another AR-15. I had high expectations of this rifle because of the quality that IWI puts out. I had slapped a Vortex Crossfire 2 dot on it and a 3X magnifier. We'll dive into why I did that later. But I just got a rough 0 and I put a couple rounds through this rifle just to get a feel for it and see how it ran, make sure it functioned properly. On that range day, I ran about 300 to 400 rounds of ammunition through it. Immediately what I saw was a very controllable rifle that had no malfunctions, had no issues. It ran all the ammo that I fed it, even my green tip, my 60 grain soft points, my 55 grain reman ammo. It just ran everything perfectly, did not have any malfunctions whatsoever. And it just felt like a very refined rifle. Many of you have had the experiences where one of your buddies has a really cheap rifle and you shoot it and it just doesn't feel like a refined rifle. Well, that is not the case with this rifle. This rifle does exactly what you expect it to do. Everything from transition drills, reload drills, all the normal stuff that I do with a rifle when I first get my hands on it. It ran flawlessly. It's easy to point because of that 15-inch M-LOK rail. It gives me plenty of real estate to purchase and control the recoil of this rifle. And yes, 5.56 is not an overly abusive caliber on your shoulder, but you still have to use proper form when controlling recoil. A good rail, good grip, and good stock all aid in that. And that's why I love the fact that it already has those features included right out of the box. As far as how I set up the rifle, I opted to go with Vortex optics for my optics. You guys know that I love running Vortex. I have Vortex on pretty much every rifle that I own. I have the Crossfire 2 up here, and then I got my hands on their new 3X magnifier. I'll dive into a little bit of why I set it up that way in a couple seconds, but this is the setup for the optics. On the front end of it, I ran an Enforced WML 400 lumen. I did replace the mil-spec trigger with Geisley's Super Dynamic Combat trigger. This is very close to a feel of a mil-spec trigger, but it's cleaner. That's probably the best way that I can describe that trigger. It's still heavy. By no means is it a light two-stage trigger, but it has more performance than a standard mil-spec trigger will offer you without all that grit and take-up and all that nasty crap that you normally find from a mil-spec trigger. As far as a sling, I am running Blue Force gear. 2-point sling. I run this pretty much on all of my carbines. Sometimes I'll run a Lunar Concepts Contour, but for the most part, I pretty much always run a Blue Force gear sling. It's super minimalist, easy to adjust, and it doesn't snag up. It's got lots of flexibility, whether I'm running a plate carrier or a big jacket or just a t-shirt playing around on the range. I really do like the Blue Force gear slings, and they've worked out really well for me. I ended up putting the QD mount pretty close to the receiver set. I tend to like having my QD mount there. It gives me a lot of room to use my hands up toward my flashlight without tying myself up with the sling. I feel like it also gives me a little bit of flexibility with dropping the rifle to a slung position. I just feel like I have more movement out of the rifle when I'm doing that kind of thing. As far as on the rail, I put a couple scales on there on both sides and a couple on the bottom to help with the heat dissipation, and it also gives a little bit more grip. I got these, I believe, from Midway USA. I don't even know what brand they were, but they work really well. They do give a little bit of extra grip. And then I did put an aluminum Picatinny section on the bottom right below the flashlight because I do enjoy running my bipod on all of my different guns from time to time. Whether I'm just zeroing or I'm out on the range trying to shoot distance, having the ability to mount a bipod, in my opinion, is extremely important. So the reason I set up my rifle the way that I did is I'm looking at this as a mid-range to close-range fighting carbine. The magnifier gives me the ability to quick flip it into position. I have 3x magnification then, and I can tell you that hitting our hostage paddles on our TA targets, steel targets, is much easier at 100, 200 yards with that 3x magnifier versus just running the red dot. I wanted to have a weapons light featured on this rifle as well because this is a home defense rifle in my opinion. That's what this rifle is kind of built around. So that's how I approached this rifle to begin with. It's also why I ran the Geisley trigger, because I just wanted a little bit nicer trigger feel in case I'm out in the woods and I'm putting down some pests or I'm going coyote hunting or whatever I might be doing. Having that nice trigger gives me the ability to get a cleaner, more consistent break, even at distances of 200, 300 yards. And speaking about those longer hits, I know a lot of people are going to be asking me, how accurate is this rifle? I will be the first to admit that I did not do extensive accuracy testing on this rifle, and there's some very specific reasons why I did not do that. Number one, I'm running a red dot, and I don't look at a red dot as a precision optic. At the end of the day, it's a dot. I have an astigmatism in my right eye, so it is not a perfect dot, and putting consistent rounds on paper is not as easy as using an LPVO or a really high quality magnified optic. What I can tell you is at 50 yards, all my groups were less than 1 inch. Most of the time with my quality hunting ammo, we're stacking clover leaves at 50 yards. So I have no doubt that this rifle is a performer, and I think part of that is due to the fact that they went with the 1 in 8 twist barrel instead of running something like a 1 in 7, like my burnt bronze 5.56, which is one of my latest videos I did on my AR-15 build. Check out that card up here. My burnt bronze AR-15 is a 1 in 7 twist barrel, and it tends to like heavier bullets because of that. 1 in 9 twist is great if you're running a lot of 55 grain, but as soon as you start getting heavier, in my experience, it's been harder to get those bullets to be accurate out at distance. So the 1 in 8 twist barrel, I believe, is the perfect middle ground for an AR-15, and I believe that if you put good glass on top of your rifle, you are going to be very pleased with the accuracy. And just like every other rifle, if you want to get the most out of your rifle, reloading yourself at home, learning how to do that is definitely the way to go. Moving on. So that's my personal setup for this rifle, but at the end of the day, a lot of people are going to be wondering, okay, so what was the purpose of this rifle, and why did IWI do the things that they were doing? I personally believe that IWI was trying to make the best rifle possible for the money and feature everything possible without breaking the bank, and that is actually way more difficult than you would expect. They did not want to include anything on the rifle that you would immediately remove when you open the box. You guys know what I'm talking about, those fixed front sights, the plastic hand grips, and the old school military stocks and things like that. Those are the things that, yeah, they're only 20 bucks here, 50 bucks here, 150 bucks there, but it adds up over time. Why not buy the rifle right out of the box with all of those features already there? And then all you have to worry about is a trigger possibly and a red dot. And by all means, a mil-spec trigger works perfectly fine. And if you're training and you have good fundamentals, you can run a mil-spec trigger fast and be effective with it as well. So they really checked all the boxes for me of building an epic AR-15 that will work for anybody from competition because it has the full-length rail, good controls, to hunting and home defense. This really covers the gamut, and it's going to work well for anybody no matter what you're using it for. So if you're somebody looking to get into an entry-level AR-15, but the market is so flooded and overwhelmed, and maybe this is your first AR-15 and you are just that, you're overwhelmed. You can't figure out, do you want a 1 in 7 twist, a 1 in 9 twist, a heavy profile, a pencil barrel, a stainless, a black nitride? It's literally endless. If you find yourself in that position and this is your first AR-15, I think it's definitely worth considering because you're going to get everything that you could possibly want in a rifle, save for, again, that trigger and the optics right out of the box. So you won't have to worry about any of that. They've already put together a package that's a straight out of the box performer. If you're somebody that already has other AR-15s, but you're looking at a complete rifle and you don't want to take another one from parts, again, this is a good option. Even if you're used to running Aero Precision or BCM, This is going to hold its own against all of those, and I've proven that because it runs as good as any of my carbines in my lineup, even piston guns. This thing is just so smooth. They've got the gas right. You can tell from the ejection pattern. They went with that mid-length gas system. So everything is dialed in, and they definitely did their homework and created a rifle that is going to last and work well for a variety of people. This rifle may not be for you if you are a die-hard name brand AR-15 loyalist. If you can't stomach getting into IWI's camp with their AR-15, and you look at IWI only as a bullpup manufacturer or Galil manufacturer, things like that, maybe the rifle's not for you. But I would say that those things are very materialistic, and that this rifle performs as well as the Tavors, as well as the Galils, their Jericho, the Masada, all of those different guns that you've seen from IWI and that I've gotten my hands on. This runs just as good as all of them, and the reliability is there in this package. So honestly, when I was thinking about who this rifle isn't for, normally that's pretty clear cut. There's normally a select group of people that a rifle's not going to work for, but I can't even honestly think of who this wouldn't work for. I guess if you're a diehard AK guy and you hate AR-15s, this rifle's not for you, but I'm sorry I can't help you. Overall, I was extremely pleased with IWI's Zion 15. It performed exactly how I expected it to. I did not have any malfunctions, even running a variety of ammo. I now have over 1,000 rounds through this. Like I do with all of my gun reviews, I try my hardest to get at least 1,000 rounds through a gun before I'm talking about it. Above everything else, this is just a rifle that I'm extremely excited to see come to the market. And I think that IWI really knocked it out of the park with regards to the accessories and the components that they used in this build. They definitely did not cheap out on this rifle. They went above and beyond what I would consider entry level and gave people the ability to have a high quality rifle at entry level prices. And for that reason, I think it is a very viable option on the market for anyone, whether you're a seasoned shooter or you're just getting into AR-15s. Guys, I appreciate you tuning into this video and showing me some support. Make sure you take a moment to hit that subscribe button, leave me a comment below, let me know what you think about this video. And guys, definitely check out my company, TA Targets. We're making insanely awesome steel targets for the industry. We're also Second Amendment absolutists. We believe in the absolute right for people to bear arms, to protect themselves, their families, their homes, their businesses. And we're really doing good work and trying to team up with companies in the industry that are also doing the same thing, spreading the message, getting content out, showing a younger generation using guns the way they were meant to be used, training to higher standards, and then teaching people about our right to own firearms. One of the ways we do that is through our target systems themselves and encouraging people to get trained, but the other way is through content just like this. Sometimes it's reviews, vlogs, Instagram content, all of that stuff. So definitely check out my company. Use code KeystoneCarry at checkout like you saw earlier in the video. That will save you 10%. Guys, I appreciate you so much. Stay well, stay safe. I will see you in the next video.